Connecticut housing market update here for you all. My name's Anthony Lamacchia, broker owner of Lamacchia Realty, and I have a lot of information to show you. First, I want to just talk to buyers and sellers as a whole. Let's spend a few minutes before we get into the data. So, buyers, you should be starting to get in a better mood, okay? Inventory is coming on. Granted, we're at that time of year right now where it's getting swallowed up as fast as it's coming on, but in the weeks to come, that will get better, okay? That will get easier. So buyers, stay in the game, stay focused. And the other thing that I want to mention, and I did a video on this a few weeks ago with buyers, is this is the time of year, really the last 90 days and about the next 40, 50 days, you either got to step up or wait, period. When you go out to make an offer on a home, if that home is priced accurately, if that home is priced competitively in that market, you have to be willing to put in a really good offer. In many cases, go over asking price. Consider waiving some contingencies if you can, if you want to land that property. That's just the way it is. It's the nature of the seasonality in this business. I tell all of you every year that the best time to buy every year is the second part of the year. But for many, many reasons, the vast majority of you home buyers come out and want to buy in the first part of the year. The school year has an impact. When people's leases expire has an impact. And that's why it goes that way. So my recommendation is if you want to land something soon, if you need to land something soon, you have to be willing to step up, okay? Whatever happens to the market in the next 2 or 3 years, there's 100 debates going on. No matter what, I can promise you this. In 5 years, the property will be worth more. And in 10 years, it'll be worth dramatically more. So whatever goes on in the next couple of years, there's a lot of room for debate there. It doesn't really matter because in the long run, it'll be worth dramatically more. For those of you home buyers that are concerned about what they call a housing crash, folks, how can you have a crash when you barely have any inventory? We don't even have 1 million homes for sale in the United States. And when the last time when the market did crash for 3 or 4 years, which was 08, 9, 10, 11, we had 4 million homes for sale. So you can't have a lack of something and then have the value of it go down. The basic laws of supply and demand. So don't be concerned about that. Once again, if you want to land something soon, you've got to step up. Now, if you start to lose your patience and you say, I've got to either find something or I have to sign a lease, fine. If you have to sign a lease, do it, but here's a strong recommendation. Do not do a 12-month lease, or next year at the same time, you will be in the same position, okay? You'll be in the same position. Try to sign a 15-month lease. Try to sign a 16. So that way your lease expires late next summer so that you're looking late spring and summer instead of late winter, early spring, which is where we are now when everybody fights over homes. I hope that makes sense to you. Now, I want to talk to home sellers. Home sellers, please remember, last summer and fall, you all got a little wake-up call to the fact that you can't just raise prices endlessly. And many were talking about a housing crash and all these kinds of things. And then if you log on to anthonyspredictions.com and you scroll down to the section that talks about sales and talks about pricing, I specifically said we would be back in multiple offer situations in the winter. I believe I said January 15th to April 15th would be the strongest, and then it would wear off a little. Here we are at the end of April, okay? We've been through multiple offers. Don't let it go to your heads, okay? Don't push the envelope too far, because now we're getting to the time of year that the amount of buyers, okay, here's what happens every year. This many buyers at the beginning of the year, this many sellers, particularly up here in the northern states. Now we're getting to the time of the year, the amount of buyers is going down, amount of sellers is starting to go up. It's not noticeable. I'm going to show you in the data. It's not that noticeable yet of the inventory noticeably coming up, but homes listed is going up. And within a few weeks, the inventory each week, that snapshot we take that I'm going to show you shortly, is going to start to creep up. Okay, so the amount of buyers from here on out is going to start decreasing. Amount of sellers is increasing. So for those of you who didn't list in the last 60 days, you really should have. You've got a small window left here in the next couple of weeks where you can probably get away with pushing the envelope a little bit with your price. But once we get to about the middle of May, from there on out, you can't push the envelope as much. You've got to be smart. You've got to be smart. if you overplay your hand, you will get bit. And we saw that happen to a lot of sellers last summer and fall, and they got aggravated when they didn't sell. Okay, here's the truth, home sellers. Us realtors get more credit than we deserve when homes sell fast, and we get more blame than we deserve when homes don't sell. So if your home is being marketed correctly, which if you're listed with Lamacchia Realty, I can guarantee you it is. No one does more marketing than our realtors and our company. If it's priced accordingly, it will sell. If you push the envelope too far, you're going to end up late spring and you're going to say, well, my neighbor's house sold for more. Why is mine not selling? Because your neighbor listed in February and you listed in June. Major difference in the market from those two seasons. I hope that makes sense. Obviously, I'm talking broadly here. Real estate is hyper-local, but talk to our agents about it. Talk to whatever agent, hopefully at Lamacchia, that you're talking to identify that right price. But don't overplay your hand. All right, I had a home seller actually in this room. I haven't sat in on a direct conversation with a seller in some time, but we had a home seller who has a condominium in Florida that we're working on selling. And we had to have a conversation about price. This is a family friend. And I had to discuss how, hey, look, if COVID didn't happen, we wouldn't even be talking about numbers this high. And the person agreed. So let's not forget that. The value of your home right now, even if you're in a market where maybe prices settled back a little bit last fall, now they've increased again, you're still talking about numbers that are 20, 30, 35% higher than pre-COVID. So just keep that in mind and don't overplay your hand. I hope that makes sense. Now, let's jump into the data. One more thing before I jump into the data that I want to mention that is noteworthy for the first quarter, particularly in March, was the SVB bank collapse. That and then Signature Bank, all that hysteria that went on in the beginning of March had an impact. It had a good impact on interest rates, keep in mind. It brought them down because they had just gone over 7 and then they came back down because remember, bad news in the economy equals good news for mortgage rates. Don't forget that part. So that's something that happened in March, and I just wanted to make sure to mention that. Now I want to jump into the data, show you a couple of housing reports in Connecticut, and just talk about them for a few minutes. So Connecticut sales as a whole down 19% in March, okay? And this is consistent with what we're seeing in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, pretty much the entire New England region, truthfully the whole country, but there's a lot of similarities with Connecticut, Mass, and New Hampshire. Those are reports I'm working on as well. So single-family home sales down 19%, condos down 18%, single-family prices down 1%. Now remember, this is March 23 to March 22. It was down slightly, but you're going to see that go up a lot in the next few months because of all the multiple offers that we are seeing. Remember, sales that closed in March were negotiated in some in late December, January, February, and that's how that flows through. Condos up dramatically at 19%. And I don't expect that to sustain either. That's a one-off month. So just like I say, it's a one-off for the single-family prices going down 1%, I say the same exact thing for the condos being up so much. Now, let's look at Connecticut real estate updates, and if you want to ever see that, you just log on to ctrealestateupdates.com. Now, here we go. Take a look here. Let me back the screen off a little bit so you can see the colors. Purple is 2023. Look at that line, folks. Least amount of homes listed every month. Okay, so what we figured out is in the first quarter that we had the least amount of properties listed in any first quarter as far back as we could see. We went back about 25 years. We couldn't find a first quarter with less homes listed. We expect that to continue, obviously, because people are sitting on their hands, not wanting it to give up their interest rates, but that will subside as time goes on. However, we're in the spot right now with less people listing, which obviously creates less properties pending. Here's the inventory report. So let me be clear. Let me go over that again. I don't want to confuse anyone. This is new properties listed. You scroll down here. Active inventory. Look at that. This is each month we take a snapshot of how many homes for sale in Connecticut. 5,500. I mean, look at pre-COVID. 23,000 pre-COVID at this time of year. So this is really a historic time that we're seeing here. Now I scroll down, homes pending, obviously lower because there's less listed. Look at that, less than all the years prior. Homes sold, less again. It's the way it goes. It's a thing. It's something that we're going to have to deal with. And this is why I laugh when sellers say, prices are going to crash. I shouldn't even say sellers. I should just say people, buyers hoping for it with their wishful thinking. Prices are going to crash. You can't have prices crash when inventory is so low. As I just showed you, if I scroll up one more time, we have what? 5,500 homes for sale in Connecticut at the end of March on the 31st. 4 years ago, same time, 21,000 homes for sale. Think about that one. You go back to 06, 07, 08, there were even more. Can't have prices crash when there is an undersupply in inventory. Let me scroll down a little bit more here. Average price right now, $456,000 a year ago, about $450,000. So prices up slightly. You can see they were down a little bit in the beginning of winter, obviously coming off of a slow fall where interest rates were high and buyers pulled their necks in, but now we're taking off again. To be clear though, I don't expect prices to be up dramatically this year, but I also don't expect them to be down dramatically. Interest rates right now about 6.5%. And that's about it, folks. That is my conclusion of what is going on in the wonderful Connecticut real estate market. Good luck, happy home buying, and happy home selling. See you soon.